Hey everyone, I'm Ryan, you're watching 60 Cycle Hum, and in this video, I'm going to revisit and modify this Harley Benton offset that I covered recently. In my initial video, I noticed that the pickups in this sound quite a bit more mellow, more modern sounding, darker sounding maybe, than the Jazzmaster pickups that came in my Fender American Vintage 2 Jazzmaster, and honestly, all other Jazzmasters that I've tried over the years. Pull this closer. And a lot of you in the comment section theorized that the issue might not be the pickups, it might be the pot values for the volume and the tone, which I think is a really, really good theory. So I bought some 1 meg pots, some Jazzmaster pots that I'm gonna install in here. Also, I wanted to try putting a wiggle stick on this thing, so I ordered a trim from Guitar Fetish that bolts in right there to a stop tail. So we'll see how that is. But before we get too deep into that, why does Guitar Fetish charge $20 to ship this box? They essentially charge $19, let's call it $20. They charge $20 to ship this box. I ship things all the time in these United States Postal Service bags that are a flat rate bag. They're like $10 to ship anything that'll fit in here right now. I just turned a $19 shipment into a $10 shipment. Guitar Fetish, what are you doing? These bags are free. I don't understand it at all. But anyways, that's a whole other subject. So anyways, let's set a point of reference. I am going to end up having to change the strings on this because I'm replacing the stop bar and putting in a trim and things like that. But let's record how these pickups compare to the Fender Jazzmaster pickups. Middle position. And neck. Here's the bridge pickup on the Fender Jazzmaster. Yeah, way brighter. Way twangier too. Brightness and twanginess the same thing, or are they different aspects of tone? I mean, twang is bright, but is bright necessarily twang? I'm not sure. All right, here is the middle position. And the neck. Do a little lead work with a reverb on. I'm gonna keep ending it on the wrong note, aren't I? Wrong notes are musical humor. It's about as funny as musicians get, right? There's a few other differences between this guitar and the Jazzmaster that I want to point out really quickly before I tear into this and start taking it apart. I mean, obviously, it has a different bridge and stop bar sort of situation going on. This has a full Jazzmaster loadout, but the scale length is also different. This scale length is a 1/4 inch longer than the Jazzmasters. And I don't know how much that comes out in the wash, but the placement of the bridge pickup is different. There is more space in between the center poles on the bridge pickup and the bridge on the Harley Benton than there is on the Jazzmaster. It's like a 1/2 inch difference, which is fairly significant. But the pickups still sound drastically different, drastically darker, warmer, however you want to, explain it, whatever adjectives you choose to describe these pickups. The Jazzmaster has a bright, surfy, twangy, spaghetti western sort of quality to this, and this has a much more modern, darker sort of quality to it. Both sound great, in my opinion, but this is more about figuring out why this sounds darker than saying it sounds better or worse or something like that. You might prefer the sound of these pickups, honestly. I will say that the placement of the neck pickup is identical in distance from the bridge as it is on the Jazzmaster. So that's interesting, but the scale length is different by a little bit. So I'm sure once you do all the complicated math, it doesn't line up perfectly. All right, I'm excited to get into this thing. Let's start tearing it apart. So unfortunately, I haven't replaced my broken multimeter yet, which is a dumb place to be in for a guitar channel. So I can't test the value of these pots. Their markings seem weird to me. It looks like it says 16K and then series. The soldering covers up the series, but there's an S up on this one and an IES on this, so I'm assuming 16K series. I'm not sure if that's a measurement of anything or that's just the model name for the pot. But 16K doesn't sound like it should be anything used in a guitar pot, right? Maybe I'm completely misunderstanding what I'm looking at here. But anyways, no matter what, we're going to get them out and we're going to replace them with these 1 meg pots here. Aha! There we go. 250K right there. Now we know these are 250K pots, which confirms the suspicions. This isn't a huge surprise, but it looks like I'm going to have to drill out these holes here. Also, they are solid shaft like you find on a Jazzmaster, which means I'm going to have to use different knobs on them. Here's a little product placement for friend of the show, Rick Wilkinson, over there at austinmics.com. He makes this thing called the Hot Holder, which is a little silicon block with all the little most useful holes you would need to hold products that you need to solder onto. So I'm going to use this to hold these pots so that I can desolder the wires. Which of these holes fits it the best? There we go. Perfect. So it just holds it for me. I don't have to fumble with anything and burn my fingers off. I'll put a link in the description. Well, as far as I can tell, I've replicated the original wiring. I replaced 2 wires with some of my own cloth covered wire just because it's easier to work with. But everything else I just moved over in the same layout it was before. Just there's 1 meg pots now instead of 250K. So hopefully that works and I don't button this whole thing up and then have to take it all apart again, which is something I've had to do so many times doing my silly little experiments with guitars over the years. I am not a tech. Don't ever think that I claim to be a guitar tech in any way whatsoever. But I am a hobbyist. And I think the vast majority of people out there can do the same stuff that I do and probably do it better. So, you know, use this video and videos like this as encouragement, even if I screw something up and have to backtrack. We should all feel comfortable working on our guitars because they're such simple devices. Even the most complicated guitar wiring is simple, 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 something that anyone can understand versus, say, like a TV remote. Uh-oh. There we go. I almost thought I was going to have to take wood out to make those pots fit in there, but nope, they fit. They're just a little bit snug. I want to check something real quick. Before I install the trem, I want to see if this roller bridge that I have is compatible with this guitar. These posts look a lot bigger, so I'm guessing it's not immediately compatible. I have a feeling the holes in here are just way too big for these other posts. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Once again, foiled. My fancy roller bridge is not going to fit on this guitar. One day I'll find a guitar that this roller bridge will work with. But today is not the day. It's finally time to crack open this nearly $20 shipping box to see what this trem looks like. I've only seen it online so far. Does anyone else think that Guitar Fetish would probably do a lot more business? Maybe they don't want to do more business, but I think they would do a lot more business if their shipping prices weren't so shocking. It's not that I expect shipping to be free, but I know that I can ship stuff cheaper than they're shipping. And I'm just a guy in a house. They've got to have like a commercial shipping account or something. All right, let's see what we got here. I think this is gonna look good. It's got like this sand-casted finish to it. Really unique shaped arm. Feels firm. Little beads for the string guides. It says X right there. GFS X-trem SM, it says underneath. All right, let's see how easily it attaches with the included bolts. It didn't come with any instructions, just the shipping invoice. But how hard could it really be? I'm a little surprised there's no felt bits that came with it to put like right there and right there. That's like a spacer against the body. I guess I could do that on my own. Get my own felt. Do I go with the heavy spring or the light spring? I'm going to go with the heavy spring. I tend to prefer heavier springs in general. On my Bigsby style trims anyways. What if I have different feelings about this trim? It seems to be on there. I might as well string this up and button it up and see how it works. I'm using a set of String Joy 11 to 50s on here, same as I have on the Jazzmaster. I almost started tuning it up before I addressed the most important problem, the knobs. I need new knobs on this because it's got a solid shaft on there. I need the screw-on style knobs. Do big black ones. I do have some chromy witch hat knobs. Those are kind of cool looking. Doesn't really match the look though. I mean, cream knobs would have been the best. I don't have anything cream that's screw on like that. These are kind of cream, but they're so little. They're so tiny. And they look even tinier next to the big Jazzmaster pickups. Here's something funky. I've got some red knobs. Oh, that does not work. I wish it did though. Got this Radio Shack style knob. Got this super big knob here. Grant Wilson from Big Ear Pedals sent me a ton of random knobs a while ago, like a year or two ago. So now I have all these random knobs to use on various projects. I could just go for a simple chrome knurled knob. That probably makes the most sense visually versus all the other random odds and ends I have in here. So we'll go with that for the time being. Maybe I'll find some sort of perfect knob for this situation in the future. I think that looks pretty good, guys. I think the trim visibly balances it a little bit better than it looked without the trim, with just the stop bar there. I mean, it definitely looks more Jazzmaster-ish now. It looks more offset correct with that wiggle stick on there, even though it's not a traditional style offset wiggle stick. It visibly does the thing a lot better now. What do you think? I mean, I still have no idea if this trim is going to be tuning stable at all, or if, you know, working with that Tune-o-matic style bridge is going to cause tuning instability issues and whatnot. I'm sure it's not going to be anywhere near as tuning stable as a traditional Jazzmaster sort of loadout. But yeah, we're off to an attractive start here. Let's turn it on and see how it compares audibly now that I've swapped out those 250K pots for 1 meg pots, traditional Jazzmaster style pots. Let's get the seat up so you can see the guitar. Getting a very kind of Bigsby range of trim there. It interacts with the volume knob, keeping it from diving all the way to the body. And the tone knob. But this isn't the sort of trim where you want to dive it anyways. I think that little bit right there, that's like all you really want out of this style trim. Yeah, it definitely does not have a Jazzmaster feel to it. And it's nowhere near the same feel as that Goldo Duesenberg trim that I put on the Yamaha. Where is the Yamaha? Oh, it's off camera over here. Yeah, that Les trim has a really wide range to it. Where this is a very subtle, vintagey, Bigsby-ish sort of vibe. But it's only $70 after you ship it. It could be $60 if they used one of those envelopes. I'm just gonna keep giving Guitar Fetish a hard time on this until they fix their shipping issues. Definitely brighter and twangier. That's the middle position. Here is the bridge. All right, let's tune it. a feeling it's going to sound a lot closer to the Jazzmaster now. Here is the neck pickup. Already out of tune. Slightly, not majorly out of tune, but slightly. All right, time to do a comparison. Here is the bridge pickup. Middle. Neck. To me, they still sound different, but the brightness of the Harley Benton is a lot closer now. This might actually be brighter than the Jazzmaster now. Maybe because the strings are brand new. The strings on that guitar are 2 weeks old now, so they might have mellowed out a little bit, but it definitely, changing those spots out definitely brought it into that bright, twangy sort of characteristic that it didn't have before. It had a very dark, mellow sort of sound, and now it sounds bright and twangy and spaghetti western. I messed up some of that, but you get the point. Makes you work for that fluttery sort of thing, where a Jazzmaster trem is like right there and super easy, but I've really got to work it to get that flutter. But those very Bigsby-ish little, kind of like dips, work very well with this so far. The bar, the wiggle stick itself, is comfortable in my hand. I like the shape of it. I like the feel of it. There is a little bit of like a noise-making knock happening right now. Maybe putting a little bit of oil on the spring would soften that up, or maybe it's another part of the construction. Yeah. The American Vintage 2 pickups have a very different soul to them. Honestly, I still suspect that these are not true Jazzmaster pickups underneath these covers, that they're wound and constructed in a different way, a different style of magnet construction is going on possibly, or they're just, you know, such a different model, and these are such a specific model that they're always going to sound a little bit different, but there's more of a bright, stabby sort of thing going on here. There's definitely a bright thing going on here, but it's smoother, creamier, more balanced, a little bit more soulful, if I dare to use that adjective. I think these pickups are more soulful, but if you're chasing a budget surf tone, there's nothing wrong with these at all. They're bright, they're percussive, they're jangly. Now that I've swapped the pots, even more so. I mean, they were pretty dark sounding in the stock condition, enough that I noticed without even doing a comparison in the first video I did of this. And they're definitely twangy and bright and surf appropriate now, but maybe you don't want that. Maybe you want the sound of these pickups in their stock condition, that darker, more mellow, balanced sort of sound. It probably plays better with high gain stuff and whatnot, or maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I probably should have compared that, but it's too late now. I wonder if doing like a 5K pot would be, not 5K, a 500K pot would be a happy middle ground with this. Getting you more twang, more brightness, but not quite that bright ice picky twang that we've got from this guitar now. So what do you guys think? Was this a good project? Was this a good video? Did you enjoy yourself? I did. I had a great time. I want to spend some time getting to know this trem a little bit better. It does float off the body a bit. I'll put a picture of that. I always wonder if that sort of float will eventually kind of wiggle loose the post holes in there. But probably not. I had a bigsby on a guitar that was archtop for a long time with what it was, a vibramate, and nothing really happened. There was no change after years of using the vibramate. So it's probably fine. It's just visibly a little bit like, oh, what's going to happen there? And there's no felt in between it, but there's plenty of space, so it probably doesn't really even need it. I found my hands interacting with this round screw quite a bit, so I kind of wish there was a flat screw there. But I'll probably get used to it. You have to physically get used to every guitar that's a little different, you know? But yeah, even without the modifications, these are like $150 before shipping. I mean, talking about shipping. In this video, shipping from Thomann to the United States is not cheap these days. It used to be like $30, and I've been hearing $60, I've been hearing $80, and you know, things like that. So figure it out for yourself. But if you're in Europe, this is a no-brainer budget guitar. There's a lot to like here. Clearly a really easy $20 mod. Swapping out those pots changes the sound significantly if you're chasing a twangier, brighter, more classic sounding, like surfy sort of sound, a spaghetti western sort of sound. The trim unit, I don't know. The jury is still out on that. I'm going to get used to it. What do you guys think about it? Tuning stability, right out of the gate, it's not as tuning stable as a Jazzmaster trim, but I think that's mostly everything to do with the bridge. Again, I couldn't get the roller bridge that I bought a while ago to work with this one. Maybe you have a roller bridge that you think would work on this, that you love, that you can recommend to everyone. I'm honestly still a bit of a roller bridge skeptic. Fight with me about that in the comments. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, dislike, leave me rude and nasty comments. Support us on Patreon. Buy a shirt if you're naked, and stay grounded. Bye, everybody.